Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 2nd, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. My Sunday has been a fun day so far, very relaxed, pretty efficient. I will say I started the day off with some stomach problems. That wasn't too fun, hasn't been the greatest, but I feel like I've overall rebounded. So that's been nice. I got a coffee at the Daily Grind. It's a little coffee shop like next to me. I pretty much got an espresso with caramel in it, so I got the Caramelicious again, just at a different place, and pretty good, very comparable. So we love that. I got my groceries done. Gym went well. Didn't really want to go like super hard. Just did like my usual standard stuff. Nothing crazy. So that was good. And yeah, we can more or less get to last night, which was cool. I went to Northside again, but just more or less stayed in with the homies. We watched the Royal Rumble. So that was cool. I haven't watched a Royal Rumble in my whole life. It's been a very long time since I've watched like wrestling in terms of like a live event. So that was just pretty neat to be able to like watch that pretty much start to finish, which was pretty cool. Granted, I say live, but I mean just on the day because we kind of got to wait until we got more or less got to squad up and then watch most of it together. So that was really cool. Very interesting, like to see a big event like that. I just once again, I've never seen a pay-per-view wrestling thing. That was never something that my mom and dad would spring for me on that. And when I grew up, I was like, I'm not paying for that. But very cool, very interesting, cool turnouts for the. Also, I didn't know that there was like a women's and then a men's Royal Rumble. So I was like, hell yeah, that's really cool that they each both get one. It sets up like storylines and stuff for the future towards WrestleMania and all that. So who knows? Maybe we have another one of those nights again. It'll depend on the homies for sure. But Food Corner, we did pizza. It was a pizza night. We got it from NYPD Pizza, the local joint. Uh, we had pepperoni and olives. Yeah, green olives. And then we also had cinnamon knots, pretty much. So that those were pretty good. So that was yummy, nice little thing. And I was also very hungry. I was just so hungry. So I was like snacking on like wasabi, peas, some chips. I was whatever I get my grubby little hands on. But yeah, it was a good night. It was a good time. And then after that, we got a couple of drinks, local little dive bar, and then we called it a night. So yeah, it was a good time. And that was my night and my day. So yeah, you're all caught up on my Joneses. Let's go ahead and do the startup and get into some news. All right. From the Associated Press. Trump's trade war among allies triggers retaliation from Canada and Mexico. Canada and Mexico ordered retaliatory tariffs on American goods in response to sweeping tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump, and businesses and consumers in both countries questioned Sunday how the new trade war might affect them. Canada initially ordered tariffs of 25% on American imports starting February 4th, including beverages, cosmetics, and paper products worth 30 billion Canadian dollars, 20 billion American dollars. A second list of goods was to be released soon, including passenger vehicles, trucks, steel, and aluminum products, certain fruits and vegetables, beef, pork, dairy products, and more. Those goods were estimated to be worth 125 billion Canadian dollars, or 85 billion dollars in America. Mexico has so far only said it will impose retaliatory tariffs without mentioning any rate or products. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum spoke by phone Saturday after Trump's administration imposed new tariffs, 25% on goods from Canada and Mexico, with a lower rate of 10% for Canadian oil and 10% on imports from China. Then a bit of an aside here, we'll zip back to it. But from the Hill, China to file a lawsuit with the WTO, vows countermeasures in response to Trump tariffs, which I believe is the World Trade Organization. Now, this might be more of a symbolic measure in terms of, I don't know how much like teeth or how much action the WTO can actually exert on America, being that like I believe like Trump can control who's like judges and stuff on that. I don't know. I might be wrong there. I might be just talking out of my ass on that. But essentially, it probably remains to be seen that also China is going to be, retaliating in their own way. So essentially, we are in a trade war. Now, this is something that Trump has said, he doesn't necessarily want, but this is something that we have to do. And that overall, and it's just so funny to hear people in the Trump administration just speak for us. I mean, that's what their job is, I fucking guess. But essentially just saying, no, the American people understand. That's why they voted for Trump, so that he can make these kind of decisions. And as Americans, we're just going to have to just grit our teeth and bear it. Because it's going to come down to us. Like all of these fucking hike increases in these prices, it's going to come down to us. And we're not going to see any real benefit. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. Obviously, I'm not stoked about this, but it's so funny because I remember towards the end of last year hearing kind of rumors that people were kind of buying differently. Like we almost had more business this year. And the reason for that was because companies have been scrambling to be like, well, I mean, since Trump's in office, he's been talking this tariff shit. He means it. So let's not get caught with our pants down and having to pay more money in 2025. Let's buy in bulk. Let's buy more now at this price so we don't have to pay for it at a bigger price later. And it seems like people who were maybe moving like that were correct. Let's see here. Is there really anything else I wanted to hark on? No, I mean, they just kind of go more into Canada's response or what have you, but we don't need to dwell too much on that, and then we talked about China, so we can go ahead and move along to the next story from People Magazine. BBC apologizes to staff after Russell Brand investigation finds allegations were joked about. BBC apologized to its employees after an internal investigation into Russell Brand's alleged behavior while he worked for the broadcaster between November 2006 and October of 2008. On January 30th, the BBC published the findings of an investigation conducted by its Director of Editorial Complaints and Reviews, Peter Johnston. The report found a woman referred to as Olivia alleged Brand exposed himself to her in a bathroom in June of 2008, and she chose not to pursue a complaint about the incident until 2019, when a BBC News staff member encouraged her to come forward. Brand, now 49, has said as recently as September of 2023, he absolutely refutes all allegations against him. Also, it's worth noted that Olivia didn't work under the BBC, but she worked in a building that was like combined with the BBC. So this whole incident unfolds. We've talked about this before too, so I know they don't want to dwell too much on it. But essentially, it became a whole thing, and there's been a whole investigation launched in terms of like what happened, what did the BBC do, what did the BBC not do. And not just into this, but also other allegations as well, branching out from Russell Brand. Let's see. What else did I want to pull from? As part of the investigation, Johnston and his team interviewed 39 individuals. Brand declined to participate in the investigation. The report noted that allegations of general inappropriate behavior by Brand included sex in bathrooms on BBC premises, exposure in the studio, and inappropriate engagement with competition winners, which have been reported on and mentioned in Russell Brand's autobiography. What is clear is that many BBC staff and freelancers, especially in more junior roles, found Russell Brand demanding and difficult to work with, and his behavior extreme. But all felt that there was no point in complaining, as they believed they would not be listened to, and rightly or wrongly, that Russell Brand, as a high-profile presenter, had the support of the station management, Johnson wrote in the reports. Let's see. Also, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead too. Here we go. I have not found any evidence of anyone in the BBC management being aware of Olivia's experience with Russell Brand until it was escalated in 2019. Johnston wrote in his report. I have, however, been told that the incident was fairly common knowledge in the LA bureau of the BBC at that time, and over subsequent years, I have heard it was often joked about, which is unacceptable for something so serious. So I imagine that's a tactful way to approach this, saying like, well, hey, the main branch didn't know about this, but this other branch in LA did, and they joked about it, and that's obviously very bad, and we condemn that. We don't like that. But I mean, I don't think any of this does any, like, gives the BBC any kind of absolution. I mean, good that they're digging into this and at least doing their due diligence. But I mean, we'll see if there's any like kind of lawsuits or any kind of fallout from here. If there's any more updates on Russell Brand and any of his weird, bizarre, fucked up, evil behavior, then we will come back and talk about it for sure. Let's go ahead and move on. We have one more story. I want to try to keep it brief today. From the BBC. Actually, wait, let's take a little break, and then our last break, I should say, and we'll go ahead and close it out and get ahead of myself. Ooh. All right, first off, I want to say happy Groundhog's Day. If you are into that, you celebrate in any kind of way, you care. But let's get into the news. Groundhog Phil predicts 6 more weeks of winter. Womp womp. So the old guy, he saw his shadow. He saw his shadow. I don't know why I'm talking so funny. Who could say? Puxadunny Phil, a weather predicting groundhog, has forecast 6 more weeks of winter in the U.S., disappointing the crowds of people gathered in the Pennsylvania town for the annual Groundhog Day celebrations. To chants of Phil, the rodent was brought out from a tree stump early on Sunday morning to give his yearly forecast. According to folklore, if Phil looks at his own shadow, then there will be another 6 weeks of winter, or 6 weeks of North American winter. Damn, I guess it's really specific to us. And if not, then an early spring is on the horizon. There's a shadow up here. Get ready for 6 more weeks of winter this year, a man from the club behind the event proclaimed. Now they go through, a bit of the history of Groundhog's Day, yada, yada, yada. By all means, if you'd like to dig into that, go ahead. You can Google about it. The history of this quote-unquote eternal groundhog. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to what I give a shit about, is that Phil isn't exactly infallible. Phil was right 30% of the time between 2014 and 2023, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said, according to BBC's U.S. partner CBS. So you know what? Fuck you, Phil. I'm sorry to say that, but you put this shit on us. It's not seeing your shadow or whatever the fuck, man, or you saw, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about the rules. I always hear about this shit and it's in one ear, not the other until next year. But I'm not trying to freeze, okay? And I'm going to lean on science. Granted, I don't know, because we still might have some hard winter ahead of us if we're talking about science and potential forecasting there. No groundhog required. So I don't know. I'm glad that right now, today is 50 degrees or so. It's been a nice day. It's not too cold. So, here's hoping we get more days of winter like that. And it's not a bitter long winter. You know what I mean? That's what I'm rooting for. So that's where I'll leave it for today. Let's see. No shilling. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.